Over the course of about 6 months, I had begun to develop an intense love-hate relationship with morning glory seeds. After reading as much info at the Lyceum and other places about MG seeds, I decided to give them a shot, seeing as lysergic acid amides are closely related to LSD. The fact that they are legal, and the fact that you can grow morning glories and collect the seeds. I'm really into self-subsistence as far as drugs go. I just don't like having to go through dealers and all that hassle. I live in Alaska, and it's pretty hard to get anything other than weed. The few times I've had the opportunity to buy acid, I've jumped on it, but it's always very weak and overpriced. Anyways, after reading the FAQ on how to extract the LSAs from the seeds, I decided that was the best way to go, because I didn't want to deal with the nausea, not to mention the damn ergotism. So I went down to my local store, bought all the heavenly blue seed packs I could find, and then went down to Kmart, and did the same. I ended up with roughly 3 ounces of seeds, somewhere in the vicinity of 2,700 seeds, ground them, took half and did the extraction procedure. In a nutshell, it is a matter of washing the seeds, grinding them in a coffee grinder, washing them in petroleum ether, Zippo fuel, Coleman's gas, for 20 minutes to take out the things that cause nausea and ergotism *, a horrible disease *, and soaking the seeds in alcohol to extract the LSAs. After 2 weeks of letting them sit in a few ounces of Everclear, I was ready to experiment. And experiment I did. Over and over and over. In the course of one day, I choked down about triple the recommended dosage of extract, the equivalent of 1,000 seeds, with no effects whatsoever, unless you count gagging and dry heaving multiple times. Now don't take this the wrong way. I am usually very careful with what kinds of drugs I put into my body, and what amounts as well. But after trying a little, waiting 2 hours, trying more, waiting more, etc., I just gave up and drank the rest down, with no effects whatsoever. I didn't know what had gone wrong. 2 weeks later, I gave it another go, again, with no effects. Being extremely frustrated and let down, I decided that I was just gonna bite the bullet and eat some of the ground seed material in a tea, as the extract was obviously not working out. Incidentally, I have read reports where people have had the extraction method work, so I have absolutely no idea what went wrong. I did everything step by step, many times. I took about 300 to 400 seeds worth of powder and mixed it with fresh ginger root and peppermint tea to reduce nausea. At about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I choked down the soggy seeds, which was a hard task, almost causing me to vomit, and waited. I experienced mild nausea from 1:30 to 2:30, but it was minimalized by the ginger. I did some chores around the house, talked to my mom. It was a Saturday, so my mom and sister were both home. I figured I would retreat to my room when the effects started coming on. At about 4 in the afternoon, I felt a little like I had just eaten a hit of weak blotter. I had some mild patterning when I looked at the walls or ceiling, and felt that old jaw tension. Cool, though. It's about damn time. As I got up to go to the bathroom, I noticed how distorted my depth perception was. Standing up, the bathroom door looked about 100 yards away, which was more like 10 feet away. Anyways, I felt rather social, and very comfortable with being able to play it off legit. I watched television and just kinda sat around, occasionally looking around to see if my trip was getting any stronger. It all stayed very mild, and the patterning went away after an hour or so. The strange depth perception thing stayed with me, and I had a great time looking at my feet as I lay on the couch, as they looked like they were off in the kitchen. I also had a slight difficulty walking straight sometimes. It felt as though I'd had too much to drink, without all the effects of alcohol intoxication. At about 6 o'clock that evening, a few of my friends came over and asked if I wanted to hang out. We ended up going back to one of their houses, let's call him Ben, to smoke some weed. I tried to tell them what I was experiencing, but they sort of blew it off because they didn't hold much weight to the whole morning glory thing. Neither of them had any experience with hallucinogens, and I wasn't being too coherent about the effects, either. So we got to the spot, and loaded up the porta bong. After smoking a few bowls, one realized that the fractal-style patterning I had been experiencing before was amplified tenfold, appearing to be drawn with crayons. It blew me away. I just sat there, stunned, for about 20 minutes, while they continued to smoke more pot. I was having a hard time walking, and we were planning on going back down to Ben's house to spend the night, so we grabbed our shit and started walking. Both of his parents were already asleep, and we reeked of weed, so we were all trying to be very quiet and not wake anyone. We settled down on the floor and they put on a video. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, at this point, I was having a pretty intense head trip. The marijuana increased my rate of thought immensely, as it always does, and the two drugs just kind of played on each other. Essentially, I was caught in a time loop, or so it seemed. I would think about something, anything, and after about 10 seconds to a minute of contemplation, I would end up exactly where I started, with the same idea in my head. It wasn't really an idea, I guess, but more of a connection between everything I was thinking. It seemed almost mathematical in its precision, and it always came in threes. Like, I'd think of brownies, and after a while, I would see a connection between brownies and the fact that I was sitting on the couch, and it seemed so crazy and unconnected. I'd try to rationalize or disprove the connection by logically thinking it over, but every time I did, I seemed to be able to rationalize it mathematically using some type of formula centered around the number 3. I'm sorry, I'm not doing a very good job explaining this, but it's the best I can do. I felt trapped in my body and more half asleep, delirious than actually tripping. It was more like eating lots of Dramamine, or something to that effect, than LSD or shrooms or salvia, etc. Anyways, I soon realized that I had to pee, really bad. The bathroom was upstairs across from Ben's parents' room. I had only been over to his house a few times, and didn't know my way around too well. He told me to be careful and be quiet, and not to walk into his parents' room by mistake. I couldn't turn on any hall lights or anything, because I didn't want to wake the parents, so I crawled on my hands and knees up the stairs and down the hallway, trying not to bump into anything. I finally reached a door. Not knowing whether it was the bathroom or not, I pushed it open and crawled in. Luckily for me, it was. I closed the door, and felt along the wall for a light switch. Now, looking back, I should have just turned on the light first, but I was too concerned with not waking his parents, and didn't want the light to shine in their room. I swear to God, I ran my fingers over every square inch of that bathroom at least 10 times, searching for the light switch. I felt like someone was playing a horrible prank on me. I didn't want to pee on the floor, but I couldn't see a damn thing, and the darkness was starting to scare me, as I was seeing some fairly strong visuals now and then. So finally I decided, hey, fuck it. I'm gonna go downstairs and piss off their porch, because this is freaking me out. Little did I realize that it had just begun. I reached for where the doorknob had been when I entered the bathroom, and it wasn't there. I felt along each of the 4 walls, and could not find the damn door. I was being very slow and soft with my movements because I didn't want to break anything, but this was really scaring me. I felt like I was trapped. I was almost on the verge of just banging on the wall and screaming for help, when I finally found the doorknob. As I opened the door, I slid my hand up alongside of the wall, and found the light switch. I took a piss and slowly walked back downstairs, so I wouldn't bump into anything. Now, for me, it felt like I had been trapped in the bathroom for an eternity. But I figured it was probably more like 10 minutes. I walked downstairs and saw both my friends staring wide-eyed at me, all excited. As I sat down, Ben said, "What the fuck happened? Where were you, man? We thought you'd passed out in the hallway or fallen asleep or something. I was about to go get you myself, but I didn't want to wake anyone up." After talking to them, I realized that I had been trapped in the bathroom for an hour and 45 minutes. No joke. Anyways, after that, I spent the rest of the night drifting in and out of consciousness, going into muscle spasms, feeling nauseous, and falling back into my weird, time loop trap of 3s. That's my story. Incidentally, I tried morning glories 2 more times after that, in the same manner, only eating much less, and was violently nauseous each time. It was definitely an experience, and unlike any other drug I've tried. But I will never ever try them again, and all in all, it was not a worthwhile venture. Aside from the extremely unsavory physical side effects, it was more of a deliriant than a hallucinogen, and the taste of the extract still makes me gag. Literally, every time I think of it, and it's been over a year. A word to the wise: do yourself a favor and grow some mushrooms. That's it.